In a peaceful village, surrounded by rolling green hills and a river that once flowed abundantly, lived a humble farmer named Ragav. He was a man of integrity, hardworking, kind, and deeply devoted to his land. But despite his efforts, life never seemed to favor him. His crops failed year after year, and his earnings barely supported his family. Still, he never complained. He believed in the wisdom of the universe, that everything happens for a reason, even if he couldn't understand why. Then, one year, disaster struck. The village experienced one of the worst droughts in history. The river dried up. The once green fields turned to dust. Farmers left in search of a better future elsewhere. But Ragav, holding on to hope, refused to abandon his land. He prayed for rain. He waited for a miracle, but days turned into weeks, and the sky remained clear, mercilessly burning the earth below. As his crops withered and his future seemed more uncertain than ever, doubt crept into his heart. He found himself questioning, why me? What have I done to deserve this? One evening, as he sat under the shade of a great banyan tree, lost in sorrow, a wise old sage happened to pass by. He noticed the burden in Ragav's eyes and gently asked, "My son, I see pain in your heart. What troubles you?" At first, Ragav hesitated, but then his emotions spilled out like a river long held back. "Everything I've worked for is slipping away. My land is dying, and I feel helpless. Why is life so unfair?" The sage listened patiently and then smiled, as if he had heard these words many times before. "Let me tell you a story," he said. "Perhaps it will help you see things differently." Many years ago, in a distant kingdom, there ruled a just and noble king. By his side was his most trusted minister, Surya, a man renowned for his wisdom. Surya had an unusual habit. Whenever something bad happened, he would simply say, "Everything happens for a reason." One day, while hunting in the forest, the king accidentally cut his finger with an arrow. Wincing in pain, he turned to his minister. To his frustration, Surya calmly said, "Everything happens for a reason, Your Majesty." The king was furious. "How can my suffering have a reason? This is nonsense." In his anger, he ordered that Surya be imprisoned. Days later, still recovering from his injury, the king decided to go hunting alone. He ventured deep into the jungle, too deep. Suddenly, he was captured by a tribe of cannibals. The warriors prepared a grand sacrifice to their gods. Just as they were about to execute him, the tribe's leader noticed something. The king was missing a finger. According to their customs, a sacrifice had to be physically whole to be worthy. Seeing the king's injury, they declared him unfit for sacrifice and let him go. Shaken but grateful, the king rushed back to the palace. He realized Surya had been right all along. "Losing my finger saved my life," he admitted. He immediately ordered Surya's release and said, "But tell me, if everything happens for a reason, what was the reason for your imprisonment?" Surya smiled knowingly and replied, "Your Majesty, had I not been in prison, I would have accompanied you on the hunt. And since I have all my fingers, the cannibals would have sacrificed me instead." The king laughed heartily. The sage finished his story and looked at Ragav. "My son, just like the king, you cannot yet see the purpose of your hardship. But have faith. Life does not take without giving. Perhaps this drought is a blessing in disguise, leading you toward something greater."